Why does America side with Israel? Check out this clip with American historian Victor Davis Hanson for his assessment of the situation. So we'll watch this clip together, then talk about it. But before you do, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
The world is told it. You cannot deal with Hezbollah. They have 150,000 rockets. You cannot kill an idea with Hamas. The Houthis are too far away, and the Saudis committed war crimes against them, and we sided with them at one point. And Iran will have the bomb, and you'll have to fly over Jordan and Saudi, and it's just too hard to do. And by the way, we want you to be proportional, even after October 7th. And Israel, it's entirely dependent on technology and resupply from the United States. I don't mean entirely in the sense that it gets all of it, but to wage a full stage reprisal, it'll run out of munitions unless we supply them. So suddenly we are trying to leverage them with this insane idea of proportionality. And I think Israel's at the point where it's decided after October 7th, and they've lost 100,000 people, maybe 60 now have been displaced. They can't live along the border. Hezbollah has sent 8,000 rockets, the Houthis and Hamas and Iran, another 12,000. They feel they're not going to have a second Holocaust, and they're going to reply disproportionately. And they pretty much destroyed Hamas, and they don't really care whether, that people on the American campuses say this was genocidal. It's not, and they're confident that they waged war in a way that Hamas never would. And then they said, we don't care if you say they have 150,000 rockets or not. We're going to take out the entire hierarchy of Hezbollah, the most feared terrorist organization in the world. And we're going to do it systematically, and we're going to create a defensive shield where they can't hurt us. And then when we do that, if the Houthis want to send a missile into Tehran, we're going to destroy their entire port facilities, hundreds of millions of dollars. See how they like that. And now they're telling Iran, we did this once before. You sent in 320 projectiles. Our allies and us stopped them, most of all of them, and then we were only allowed to hit 3. That apparently didn't create deterrence. Now you send 182 hypersonic ballistic missiles, and they did very little. That should tell you that you're impotent, and believe us, that's what they're telling the world. We're going to reply disproportionately. And so what I'm trying to get at is the world has been terrified of the radical Islamic braggadocio, that they love death and Westerners love life, and you can't defeat them. It's an ideology, and Israel is surrounded. You got to cut bait. They have the UN, they have the EU, and Israel says, we're at the point now where it's existential. If we go down this route anymore, we won't survive. Hezbollah was planning another October 7th. These people are medieval, what they did. Beheading, mass rape, dismemberment, torture, hostage taking. And they would want to do it to all of us. So now they're completely liberated, unfettered, and we'll see what happens. But they're going to try to restore deterrence by being disproportionate. And I think if they were wise, they would focus on the Iranian nuclear facilities. And I think after a week of sustained bombing, they could probably neuter them. And then I think Iran would get the message. And this administration is very fearful that they're going to target the oil installations because, as we know from the midterms and even this general election, they have been draining the strategic petroleum reserve. It's less than 50% to lower the price of gas, so Americans feel that they're no longer suffering from inflation. And I think the Biden administration is putting a lot of pressure on Israel not to retaliate disproportionately. That's the term they use. But I don't think it's going to have any effect on them. The weird thing about all this, John, is if you look at polls, 65 to 70% of the American people, even in our nadir, support Israel and its right to defend itself as it sees best. 65 to 70%. That's despite the huge influx of Middle Eastern people, the campus, foreign students, all of that, all the propaganda, all of the anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli media. And yet the American people still support Israel overwhelmingly.
Do you think there would be a view in that on the part of the American people, a recognition that in fact the Israelis are doing us a service if they can degrade the Iranians?
I think there's members of the American government, even in the Biden administration, that say themselves in periods of momentary reflection, but the majority of Americans certainly would agree that if you look at, except for Al-Qaeda, which terrorist organizations killed the most Americans? Hezbollah. They killed 241 Marines. They tortured CIA officers. They sent shaped charges into Iraq and blew up Americans. And now all of a sudden, they're afraid to answer their cell phone. They're afraid to turn on their television set. All of a sudden, they brag about their 150,000 rockets. No one is safe. They can be 60 feet down in a reinforced concrete bunker and the Israelis can hit them. Part of this is the admiration for Israeli ingenuity and audacity. Nobody thought they could ever pull what they've done off. Nobody had ever heard in a James Bond novel anything like the pagers or the walkie-talkies, 4 or 5 years in its genesis. Nobody believed that you could blow up Nasrallah 60 feet below in a single block attack. Nobody thought you could get rid of this hierarchy in Damascus and Tehran. Nobody believed that you could knock down, I mean, to be candid, if somebody sent 180 hypersonic ballistic missiles into San Francisco, we could not knock them down. I don't think London could do it. I don't think Paris could do it. They can do it. So there's a lot of new admiration for their competence. And I think there's a sense, even in Europe, especially in places like South Korea and Japan, that deep down inside they feel the Israelis are doing the world a favor by neutering Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and they want them to go ahead and deal with Iran. Because as you know, a lot of Europe is in range of Iranian missiles. And if they should go nuclear, the first thing they would start to do is threaten European countries for concessions, with the implied threat that they could reach them with their rockets. But Israel's showing the world not to be, I guess what I'm trying to say, John, is Israel is conducting a tutorial for Western nations and peoples and saying, do not be afraid. You don't have to fear these people. You are strong. You are technologically superior. You are more moral. Don't feel guilty. Reply and create deterrence. Stop these people. They're anti-civilizational. They're medieval. And we're going to show you how to do it. And please help us. If you don't help us, we'll still do it for your and our benefit. And that's a pretty powerful message.
Right. Let's not forget that it's not just a Jewish problem or an Israel problem. This is a Western civilization problem. This is a civilization problem. The war over here is not between Jews and Hamas, Israel and Hamas, or Israel and Hezbollah. This war is between civilization and anti-civilization. We know the mantra that they have in the Middle East: after Saturday comes Sunday, meaning after we deal with the Saturday people, the people that observe the Sabbath on the Saturday, we deal with the Sunday people, the people that observe the Sabbath on the Sunday, namely the Christians. That this is not simply a Jewish or Israeli problem. This is a civilization problem. And so the backing of America, or backing of many Western countries, is because Israel is doing the region and the world a favor by neutering these particular terrorist groups. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.